You read that title right. Simply because we don't want you. don't 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 come to us. PSA Glazer Boy, remember who you are. Let's see you glaze. Glaze, glaze, glaze. For those who don't know, the PSA has come out with new prices. They have decided to double down on their downfall by increasing prices, increasing wait times, and increasing requirements to meet some of these tiers. They said, we're going to double down so hard. The PSA fanboys will truly continue to glaze for us. And yeah, I'm certain there'll be some glazer in the comments. Always love to see it. So let's go ahead and get into this. And you know, it'll become evident. I mean, I'll just give you the flat out explanation in the video uh, as to why it's titled the way it is. So without further ado, Value Bulk, which is supposed to be the cheapest service for PSA TCG. So one, in order to do Value Bulk, you already have to be in Collectors Club already, which I didn't put out those prices, but I want to say that's between like $200 and $350 if you want the higher tier. Back in the day, like pre-2020, it used to actually mean something because they used to actually give you a pretty amazing deal. Now it means nothing besides access to the Value Bulk submission club. So yeah, that means nothing. Max insured value, it means if you send a card, it has to be worth less than 500. If it ends up being worth more than 500, then they're going to upcharge you. Estimated turnaround time, 140 and 160 business days. Now, here's the part that's hilarious to me. And remember, for anyone who is new, I used to submit thousands of cards to PSA as an individual. So this comes with a bit of knowledge and wisdom. So have some respect. I'm just kidding. Do whatever you want in the comments. That's probably a accurate timestamp for before they made this change. I have never had PSA besides like two of their services, which were their higher end services, ever meet their actual expected turnaround time. And I do know how to calculate business days. So with them saying 140 to 160 business days now, that's probably a 1 year, 1 calendar year turnaround time, if not more. It's not an exaggeration by any means. We can just do the math really quick. 365 days in a year, 52 weekends, it's 2 days per weekend. That's 104 days right there. So you can take 365 minus 104. That leaves you 261 business days. You can then take the 261 business days. You can subtract holidays. I think your holidays are going to equate to something like 70-ish days. So now you're at like 190 available business days. And PSA is almost about 20 business days behind their expected business day turnaround time. So 180 business days, 190 business days in a calendar year. You're gonna wait a calendar year and you're gonna like it. Glaze on up. Suck that up, you know. Oh, and that's the other thing. I believe it used to be a 20 card minimum. Now you have to at least have a 50 card stack. So you have to be a PSA Collectors Club member. You have to have at least 50 cards. And it's going to be $25 before taxes and extra insurance and shipping. So understand, if you're sending in cards that are going to be maybe $100 if they PSA 10, you're only making $75 profit. That's not including the cost of the card. A lot of cards that are $100 as a PSA 10, those cards are usually only $5-10. But a lot of people, like me in the past, would send cards that would be like $100 to $200 as PSA 8s. And generally those cards are about 20, 30 bucks raw. So if you're hoping your card will 8, and there's always the offshoot it doesn't, and a 7, and you're breaking even, and you've had to wait 1 calendar year to break even versus just reselling it raw, value bulk is just kind of out the window. So their next tier up, value, which by the way, we've now gone up, $8. The max assured value remained the same, and all that did was reduce your turnaround time by a couple business days. So you're still probably looking at 10 calendar months, $8 extra per card. I have nothing else to say about this service. That's pretty much it. I'm gonna keep these for later for other reasons. Okay, $50 per card, still $500 max insured value. We're going to get to that in a little bit. So, 60 to 80 business days. That's the only thing this got you. So that is $25 more per card, and now you'll see your cards in 6 months. That's what that got you. $25 per card, not per like whole submission, per card. That's what that got you. It bought you 6 months, but one, it's still only a max insured value of $500. So if your card will be worth $500 based on its grade, you've profited $450 minus the cost of the card, and it only took you 6 months to wait for that. We're not done. Up next, okay, now the max insured value has changed. It's $1,000 max insured value. The business days went from 60 to 80 to 40 to 50, and the cost went from $50 to $65. Arguably, that $15 change does get you quite a few things, but you're paying $65 per card. Here is the other thing that you need to understand. Let's say you do the value bulk. You sent in 50 cards, and you paid $25 per card, and you waited 1 calendar year for your cards to get to you. If those cards happen to PSA 10 or whatever, and it pushes them above the $500 insured value, let's say it makes them $600, ooh, whoop-de-dee, you're not paying $25 for those cards anymore. You're paying $65 for each one that broke the $500 insured value, because now you're at 1,000 and below. By the way, that didn't increase your turnaround time. You still had to wait the calendar year. You got charged $65 because your card broke $500. By the way, nothing changed. You still sent in their card for grading, and the exact same grading process happened. And instead of doing the 40 to 50 business days, you got 1 calendar year, and then you got charged from $25 to $65 for all your cards that broke $500 value, without the benefit of the 40 to 50 business days. See, PSA wants you to gamble, and even if you lose, like even if you didn't select this one, PSA still makes sure that they win. The value of the card would have gone up regardless of the service, just grading should remain the same. You just had to wait longer, and you still got charged this. I haven't seen it in the last week since they've made these changes, but I honestly, I can't tell if it's just bot shilling or what. But if you go into some of these PSA groups, or even just standard TCG Pokemon groups, you'll have people say, like with the whole hands up emoji, the praise the Lord hands up emoji, and it will say, "Oh, thank God for this email. I love seeing it." And it's like it's the upcharge email, and like the point they're getting at is like their card is, ended up being worth however much, but they don't understand. They don't understand how dumb they fucking look when they do that. They have no idea. They don't contemplate it. They don't perceive it. People just laugh at them in the comments, and they get real butthurt. And okay, so under 1,000. So if your card goes over 1,000 but below 1,500, you get upcharged another $15. And it only buys you an extra 10 business days of turnaround. $15 if your card goes up a bit more. And some of you are going, well, Flaming Chicken, like, you know, now instead of it being worth 1,000 and below, it's worth 1,500 and below. You do understand, if you break 1,000, like, let's say your card was worth $999 and you paid that $65 fee and you waited 40 to 50 business days, and then it turns out the card's actually worth $1,001 instead of $999, you've broken that $1,000 mark. So now you're charged $15 more. You're actually profiting less because you got upcharged and you didn't get it as fast because they charge you this even on your other service that you paid and waited for. So yeah, you can lose money. I'll have you guys figure that one out on how that math works. I'm not gonna draw that one out for y'all. So I have used Express before. I used it on a Shadowless Blastoise back in 2021. I think back then it was $75. I remember it being about 10 business days. They did meet that business day turnaround time, and I think it was 5,000 back in the day. So let's say you break 1,500. Now it's nearly double. It's nearly double the charge, and it's a 20 to 30 business day turnaround. And it's still only a max insured value of 2,500. So if you break 2,500, you're now going to get charged $350 per card. Now I've paid Super Express. I think I paid Super Express back when it was $150. I did that for a Shadowless Charizard back in 2021, and back then I think it was like 5 business days, and I did get the card back. So I can at least admit, I try to be a truthful guy, I can admit that PSA does typically at least meet their Express and Super Express timelines. But paying $350, which again is, it's actually more than double Express. Express is $150, so doubling Express is $300, so add another $50 on top of that. It does get you nearly half the turnaround time, so that's, I guess, significant. Your max insured value is still only $5,000, but if you break 2,500, you're paying this in terms of max insured value. There are only a very, 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 very few instances where I can see paying this makes sense. And I had made previous videos in regards to gym rate and understanding what most submissions look like. And of course, someone's like, you didn't include the upper tier. I mentioned in the video, like, we're just trying to average out and move forward and understand that only a minute amount of cards are in the tiers, the last few tiers we've just explained. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for anyone to pay $350 to get a card graded. Like, $350 should be like, I get a discount on an airplane ticket, the PSA headquarters, I meet some of the staff, they shake my hand, we do a little video, maybe even one of them signs the card, they grade it right there in front of me, and then, like, they get it back to me that day after I have a little lunch at, like, their cafeteria. You know, that's what $350 should get you for card grading. And PSA's like, yeah, 7-10 business days. That means you may not even get your card back that week. Okay, not double, but nearly double yet again. Max insured value, 10 grand, still 5 to 7 business days turnaround. I don't have much to say about this. I haven't used walkthrough. I think back in the day it was 350. And I think the estimated turnaround time was 1 to 2 business days, but realistically, I think they actually generally got it back to you that same day. It was usually like a headquarters thing or at a show drop off, real time grading. I should have printed off the CGC prices, standards, and time returns, but this is going to send nearly every fucking card to CGC. Now granted, what PSA is probably doing is they're probably trying to poise themselves to only capture higher end cards. Because for every one card they get as express, which is 150, that would be them having to grade 7 value bulk cards. So they can get the same amount of money at a seventh of the process. I don't think anything extra special really happens in the grading process between those two processes. It's the exact same process. So I think they're poisoning themselves to get out of being the everyone grader. Here is the issue with that they don't seem to understand that nearly everyone talks about. So what nearly everyone talks about, when you ask them why PSA, like when you run into people who are like, PSA is so great, da-da-da-da-da. Their slabs look terrible, but red box label, do. They'll nearly all say the same thing because it's the only valid point left. And they will say, oh, well, PSA has the most liquidity. They don't they don't know what that means. I can tell you now, most people, when they hear that and say that, they think liquidity means PSA has the most dollar per card. They're thinking, oh, there's more volume of water in the glass, more dollars in the glass for a PSA. That's not what liquidity means. Liquidity simply means that there's more volume of the cards being sold. Therefore, it's easy to buy and sell because you know the rate of which it is going in terms of how fast they're going, in terms of how many are being exchanged, and what the typical dollar rate trend up or down is. If you give up having the most volume of cards, which is what PSA is doing by doing this, people are going to go somewhere else for that volume. I'm telling you now, it's going to be CGC. So, CGC is so significantly cheaper with a higher level of insurance and a faster turnaround time. Yeah, that means they will become the liquidity market, which then comes to argue, what selling point is there left for PSA when they give up being the one known for liquidity? Like, that's, at this point, the last 7-ish months has been the only defense to continue to use PSA. Oh, well, they're the most liquid. And that was pretty much all anyone ever had to say. If they said they liked their slabs, they're lying through their teeth. PSA slabs are probably, in my opinion, like, in terms of looks, the bottom of the barrel. Now, in terms of theft protection, they're definitely up there, top tier for theft protection. Like, in terms of like fakes, and preventing fakes. Like, people who can't handle it, again, I'm not here just to slander stuff. I'm pointing things out that have happened and are actually happening, and predicting things that will happen, and usually we're right, like most of the time. So do I think CGC slabs are going to blow up in price? No, I don't think they'll blow up. I just think what we'll have is you're going to see more of them. You're going to see more of them at card shows. You're going to see more of them on Marketplace. You're going to see them kind of everywhere. You're going to see PSA start to become how you see Beckett and Tag. Tag will continue to grow. I think Tag will be like where CGC is now at shows in terms of quantity. That's where Tag will start to move to. CGC will move to PSA in terms of quantity. Now, some of my other fears, and this is why I say, you PSA glazers, you better suck it up and take it on the chin and don't wipe your face off. CGC, I really hope, doesn't lose their consistency, because I arguably that's why PSA lost consistency, just sheer volume, and the quota to which they force upon their graders is insanity. So that volume's going to go to CGC. Now, like companies that have made the right moves in terms of protecting the collectors, buyers, and graders, Tag has made the right moves to where they just went ahead and turned off their lower tiers. It's not to force people to use the higher tiers. It's because they know that the higher tiers have a lower submission rate, and this will let them handle their bulk tiers in the meantime that they've already obligated a contract to in terms of turnaround time. That's how you do that. Unlike PSA in the 2020 era, who went ahead and still kept accepting every submission, knowing very well that they weren't going to get to their lowest submissions on purpose. I had to wait nearly 2 calendar years for my submission. And I think the turnaround calendar business days was 60 business days. So yeah, because they just went ahead and kept accepting submissions, and then just kept putting everyone who was the lower dollar amount on backlog. If you weren't a YouTuber or celebrity, you got put to the back of the bus. Tag has just turned off that option, which is nice. I don't know what CGC will do. Time will tell. I hope CGC doesn't lose its consistency in terms of grades. I hope we don't see a drop in quality in terms of slabs and rating. I do hope that they take advantage of this. This is not a minor lapse in judgment by PSA. I would say this is arguably probably worse for them than most of the scandals they've ever had. Because, like, I think about my cards and the value of most of my cards and what I've sent in, and me, of course, trying to squeeze $1, and because grading is grading, but like, I've only ever sent in one Express and one Super Express over the thousands of cards I've sent in. Nearly all of my submissions have been value bulk. So, now granted, not everyone's going to have the same rate as me, but if I send in 500 value bulk cards, for every one Express card, 500 value bulk cards, $25 per card. Basically, I send in 13, after taxes, 13 grand worth of cards via value bulk to every one express, $150. 500 to 1 ratio. If PSA, I don't think it's going to be a direct reflection, but just off my sampling, that means PSA could lose a 500th, to be reduced down to a 500th of their current grading quantity. Right now, they're completing, I say completing, they're not receiving, they're completing 2 million submissions a month. If you divide that by 5, they're at 400,000 submissions a month. If you divide that by 50, they're at 40,000. If you divide that by 500, they're at 4,000 submissions per month. I don't think they'll drop that much, but regardless, you're going to see an insane drop. They've already made these changes. These aren't proposed changes. These are live. If you think the PSA fan club just all of a sudden went silent over the last week, this is why. And I can tell you now that silence is deafening, and it kind of yells, they're looking for other graders. And you're going to see a lot of people over time pretend like they've always been with other graders. People who were hardcore PSA is the way. You're going to see a lot of people probably delete old videos. You're probably going to have quite a few friends who act like, well, PSA, they were always on their way out. You're going to see a lot of people cast them into the dark. Ironically, like the craziest part of all of this over the last 6-7 months has been PSA doing this to themselves. Like, it's not even like, oh, they're being outbeat by competition. I mean, arguably the competition was there, but like PSA had such a death grip on the ball that like all they had to do was just keep playing ball. But instead they're like, hey, what if we cheat? What if we steal? And what if we just make the game more expensive to where no one wants to play? and like those are literally all the decisions they made. Like they made those decisions. Like you can keep arguing and saying, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's probably just a select few employees who are stealing and swapping cards and misplacing things, this or that. The amount of reports that PSA has received, and if you've never worked with their customer service, have fun with that, by the way. The amount of reports they have received should be enough to immediately trigger an internal investigation. Like if I was the company, if I was PSA, if I was the board of PSA, and like, hey man, we're getting a lot of allegations on theft and card swapping. Like if like I'd be like, oh fuck, we need to do an internal audit, pause everything, we gotta figure this out. Instead they're like, yeah, just keep stealing. the idiots will say, oh, you can't judge a company based on just 3 people. If it were only, it's definitely not only 3 people. It's definitely encouraged at the company. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to. Like you're. Just put yourself in a PSA graders scenario. They make $20 to $22 per hour as a grader at PSA. You grade 700 cards a day. Even at the lowest value, you're making your company that you work for $14,000 of profit per day. You make $20 per hour. They pay you $140, $160 for the day before taxes, after you made them 14 grand. 17, 25 times 700, 17. They don't even pay you $1,000, dude. Okay? So let's okay? Every last one of these things that comes to your possession is worth your hourly at a minimum raw. Some of them worth thousands of dollars raw. Some of them worth thousands more graded. You also understand the market, because they typically want people who are experienced with cards of that market. So you have your own cards. They're not so great. You make $20 an hour. You can't really afford great cards, but you have them. You have them in damaged condition. And you see your roster ahead of time, and you see cards that match your cards. And you ask yourself, am I about to do this? You know, your card in its condition is a PSA 6 and it's worth $22. You don't know what the condition of the other card will be, but you go ahead and bring your card into work that day, back pocket, whatever, however you're going to do it, I don't know. You go to grade it, and you see that that card is an 8, maybe a 9. Your card's a 6. You say, well, this 6 will be an 8 today, and this 8 to 9 card is going to be my new card. And as that 8 to 9, that card is $500. Your whole day's pay is $170 fucking dollars. You're telling me you don't think people at PSA who know the game aren't going to take a 3 days worth of pay by just a simple card swap out? You have got a lot to learn. You okay. Well, I think I'm going to leave it at that. If you are a person who grades with CGC, you've probably got about 1 month or less to get your cards submitted. Just, I don't know the route CGC is going to take. Because this is coming. This flood of PSA graders that don't know what to do now because there's almost no money in it grading with PSA. You're not doing PSA for PC. If you're doing PSA for personal collection, what is wrong with you? Who hurt you? You have an option to pay less for better looking slabs with more consistency and a chance of a pristine, and you're PCing with a company that is merely just there for liquidity purposes. Yeah, so everyone who currently grades with CGC, I'm sorry, but I think the wave is imminent. We'll probably see the truth. We're waiting on May's completion of gem rate. So July's completion of gem rate will show the truth because of how long grading services take. And we'll just see the truth via an announcement from CGC when they say, hey, we just received 3 to 4 times our monthly submissions. It's going to be a hot minute, folks. And like, this is the thing I tried to explain to people earlier with metrics. For every grader PSA loses, it goes to somebody else, more than likely. I mean, the card could just stay raw, but more than likely, if someone was set on grading and they're done with PSA and they go to somebody else, that means PSA loses those grades and somebody else gains those grades. So if PSA loses 1 million grades all of a sudden, and let's say they all go to CGC, and CGC is at about 600,000, 700,000 cards per month, well, then CGC will be at 1.6, 1.7 million per month. And if PSA is completing submissions at 2 million per month, they just lost 1 million. So now they're in second place by a significant amount. So I think July gem rate, when that report comes out, we're going to see the truth. But I always say that with a little bit of, I don't know, skepticism. Because the issue I have with gym rate is when you go on to it, they have all this extra data for PSA, and PSA is at the top of the screen and stuff. And arguably it could be because, okay, they're the largest number on there. But if we don't see that switch once PSA falls from 1 to 2, then gym rate was always just a PSA psyop. Like that 100% confirms that. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I have to get back to prepping cards. I'm getting 200 plus cards ready for CGC, especially now in a hurry. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this. And at the same time, I'm absolutely not looking forward to this. Thanks.